My name is Peter H. and I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, Stevie J.
And we're going to lead off the show with some very important breaking news for both WWE and UFC.
Oh, we're not talking about your bracket being busted?
No, my bracket was busted a week ago. Let's not even discuss that. Let's talk about Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar was on ESPN earlier today, and he announced to the world that his legacy in the Octagon is in fact over.
Well, that's what I've been saying all along now, isn't it?
It is what you've been saying all along, but I think his contract does end, his old contract does end on Monday, and Brock said on Sports Center, Sports Night, whatever it's called, that he re-signed with the UFC.
You mean WWE?
Or WWE. Sorry,
Oh,
WWE.
man. That
That'd
is
be
a
funny.
botch for the ages right there,
Yeah,
Peter.
right
Wow.
there. He re-signed with the WWE, and he said basically his match at WrestleMania, his legacy will not be his last. So you gotta think that, one, the dynamic for WrestleMania has now changed because the main event, the odds, if there were odds available, they definitely would have been shifted ever since this announcement took place. And two, I would say maybe some of the heavyweight fighters in the UFC are breathing a big sigh of relief right now.
You know what? If I was a UFC heavyweight, I'd actually be disappointed to hear that because there goes a big payday because any pay-per-view Brock Lesnar had was going to be a big payday for anybody involved.
Absolutely. No, it's going to be, it's a shame because Brock did mean numbers when it comes to pay-per-view buys, and, we did see him at the Ronda Rousey show a couple of weeks ago, and, it's one of those things where...
You know what it comes down to at the end of the day is Brock Lesnar still loves fighting. He just can't do it anymore.
A lot of people thought his appearance at the UFC was either a negotiation tactic to get a better deal with the WWE, or something where he said in the interview today that he was there to basically get a taste of the environment again, to see, you know what I mean, to get that feeling, to see what it was all about again. But
of course, and Dana White's going to comp him a ticket anytime he wants one because it looks good for your promotion if you have Brock Lesnar sitting in the front row. That's worth its weight in gold.
Oh yeah, anytime you can have a former UFC heavyweight champion in the front row cage side.
You know
do it.
Yeah, so it's not like Brock can't get a ticket if he wants one, and he doesn't have to pay face value for it. He can just get one.
So you don't think Dana White's too upset about this?
No, I think Dana White realistically knew that Brock Lesnar wasn't coming back. They might have talked about it. They might have joked around about it a little bit, but I think he knew that after diverticulitis, there was no chance, which is, again, what I've been saying all along.
I guess I was just holding out hope, you know what I mean? I was hoping there would be a chance, there'd be something, even though it was a minuscule chance at that, something that we could have seen Brock return to the cage, but it took him a year to come to this decision, and I'm sure he flip-flopped more than a dozen times back and forth before he made his official decision.
Well, maybe it took him a while to decide, but I really don't think it did deep down take him much to decide that, because he's got a wife, he's got a family, he wants to provide for them. The way to do that for him these days is professional wrestling, because if he goes in there with diverticulitis and somebody starts kicking him in the midsection over and over again, that could seriously ruin his ability to provide for his family and could even be worse than that.
It's definitely a lighter schedule, let's just say that.
Well, no, it's probably actually a lighter schedule if he was working UFC, because he'd only have to do a big fight every 6 months or so.
Yeah, but he'd be in a training camp for so many months every day, in and out. I mean, I'm sure the training schedule as a pro wrestler is different than a UFC fighter.
Yeah, but you know how jacked Brock Lesnar looks. I bet you he trains pretty much the same way for pro wrestling as he does for mixed martial arts.
Now, some people might even speculate, is this because of the drug testing policy now with the UFC?
No, WWE has a drug testing policy too, always has, so.
But to strict levels?
Sometimes it's been lax, sometimes it hasn't. We're living in the days where it's not very lax. They take it very seriously.
Alright, let me ask you this, sort of a side point here. Do you think the UFC's drug policy that they're going to be instituting very soon, it will become letter of the law, will scare off certain fighters from joining UFC?
I don't think it would have affected Brock Lesnar's decision one way or the other. As to other fighters, well, we already know who the guys are that we think have been using it or have been using it in the past and been caught for it, and they're all under UFC contracts, so I don't think it really scares anybody away. I think it's just going to be a learning curve for all the fighters who already do it and won't be able to get by with it anymore, that they're going to have to change their ways.
It's just I think it's a sad day in one essence because, we'll never see Brock in the Octagon again.
I never expected to. I got what I wanted to out of Brock Lesnar in UFC. I got to see him win the heavyweight title. I got to see him fight Heath Herring live. I got my fill of Brock Lesnar in the Octagon. He did everything I wanted him to do, and now he's back in pro wrestling, having established that he is a legitimate world title heavyweight champion outside of a fake sport. He's done it for real, which makes him even more impressive when he goes in there and beats people's asses in the WWE. So, I think it's the best of both worlds. I got to see him fight for real, and now when he fights for fake, it feels real.